and this is a game where players are going to be playing competitively as pirates on a ship under siege. And players are going to be being attacked by one of the many threats, which could be a kraken, skeleton pirates, a megalodon, or even sirens. And each of the threats will work a little bit differently and might have their own creative ways to try and sink your ship. And a neat thing about this game is that not only does it have some fantastic artwork, but it also has a collapsible ship that as it's sinking more and more into the sea, you'll be able to take parts of that ship off to emulate it sinking into the table. And although on the surface this might sound like players are working cooperatively to try and defeat these different threats, that is actually not the case. This is a competitive game and there is only one winner. So if the players do manage to take out the threat, you win if you have the largest score of treasure in your possession. But alternatively, if the ship does sink, then it's the player who has the least cards in their hand that's going to win, because they're the ones that are going to be light enough to escape on a lifeboat. But each turn, players are going to be drawing water and loot cards into play, and these are going to go under the different columns, under the respective locations on the board. And as the boat gets more and more damage, that's going to create more breaches, which is going to cause more and more water cards to be drawn out each round. In each round, players will also be able to perform one action each, and there's 4 actions that players can choose from. You can either bucket water, which will help reduce the overall water level. You can patch breaches on the ship, which will prevent more water from coming in the future, but it also allows you to repair damaged cannons, which is also an action to fire those cannons to try and inflict damage on whatever enemy you're going up against. Or you can plunder, which will allow that player to steal revealed loot cards, which can also be used to influence actions in the game as an additional action on your turn if you have loot cards in your possession already. But the thing that makes this game so interesting is that players will be able to discuss which actions that they think each of the players can take, or which actions that they plan to take themselves, and share that information with the other players. But of course, being honest is optional, and the thing that makes this really interesting is that depending on the number of players that choose an action, that can actually change the way that that action works. And of course, players won't be able to know which action the other players choose, because you're going to be choosing your actions in secret and then revealing them all simultaneously. And those actions will be resolved once all those players' decisions have been revealed. And the game continues like this, with players either trying to collect as much loot as possible while trying to defeat whatever beast they're up against, or trying to keep their hand as light as possible with the hopes to abandon ship. And of course, there's always the chance that you might have a change of heart depending on how the other players are influencing the battle. A really good looking game here that looks like a lot of fun, so if this one sounds interesting to you, you can find out more in the description below.